When we hear the phrase Shakespearean sonnet, we typically expect sweeping declarations of eternal affection and poetic vows read at weddings. Sonnet 1 subverts that expectation immediately. It opens the famous sequence not with romance, but with a palpable anxiety about the passage of time, placing an incredibly uncomfortable responsibility squarely on the reader. Look at the original text from 1609. The sequence begins by targeting a very specific kind of person. Scholars often refer to him as the fair youth. He is young, striking, and overflowing with potential, but he flatly refuses to use any of it. He is perfectly content to sit still. Shakespeare is not wooing this young man. He is staging a direct, aggressive intervention for someone actively wasting their natural gifts. From fairest creatures we desire increase. That opening line lays out a strict biological and moral mandate. Increase means growth. It means creating a legacy. If you hold exceptional qualities, you are required to reproduce them. He reinforces this by comparing human beauty to a rose. It is delicate, admired, and entirely temporary. The moment a rose reaches its physical peak, it immediately begins to wither. Time is the silent, unbeatable force steadily eroding everything in its way, guaranteeing the destruction of the older generation. But Shakespeare offers a loophole. As the older generation fades, a tender heir, a child, can carry those exceptional qualities forward. You cannot stop the clock, but you can outlast it by leaving a replacement behind. At this stage, the poem's logic is gentle. It establishes a universal philosophical rule about mortality, quietly setting a trap before springing it shut. At line 5, the trap snaps. With 2 words, "but thou," the poem violently shifts gears from a general observation to a targeted, personal attack. Shakespeare accuses the youth of being contracted to thine own bright eyes. The exact crime is absolute self-obsession. The youth is closed off, staring inward, perfectly isolated in his own reflection. He illustrates a flame that feeds on self-substantial fuel. A fire consuming its own wood without outside oxygen shrinks until completely destroyed. The youth is making a famine where abundance lies. Surrounded by plenty, his hoarding creates a localized starvation. The core accusation targets a deliberate choice. The youth possesses massive resources, yet actively and maliciously refuses to share them with the world. Thyself thy foe. You are your own enemy. Hoarding gifts harms the outside world, yes, but Shakespeare highlights a darker psychological truth. Keeping everything locked inside is a profound act of self-cruelty. The subject is described as the world's fresh ornament and the only herald to the gaudy spring. He is the literal embodiment of youth and pure vitality. But all that vitality is useless if it stays buried within its own bud. A flower that seals itself off from the sun and refuses to bloom never actually realizes its purpose. Shakespeare labels the youth a tender churl, someone outwardly gentle but guilty of niggarding, being stingy. You can have a soft demeanor while simultaneously gripping your value with a tight, selfish fist. Unreleased potential carries 0 real-world value. A beauty or talent that remains permanently trapped inside is entirely indistinguishable from a talent that was never there at all. The poem closes with an explosive final couplet, delivering a blunt ultimatum. Pity the world, or else this glutton be. A glutton consumes far more than their fair share. By refusing to pass on what he was given, the youth is actively stealing an inheritance that rightfully belongs to the world's future. He and the grave will eat the world's due. The grave becomes an active accomplice in this theft, permanently burying assets that should have been shared. What started 14 lines earlier as a gentle philosophical suggestion about time has hardened into the brutal condemnation of a thief consuming his own legacy. While rooted in a 16th century argument about having children, the sonnet functions as a strict existential challenge for the modern viewer. Take the 16th century word beauty and replace it with modern equivalents. Think of talent, creativity, potential. The poem demands to know what you intend to do with your specific gifts. Time's movement is continuous, indifferent, and entirely outside of your control. The clock is steadily winding down, regardless of whether you choose to act. Do you keep your gifts completely to yourself until time runs out? Or do you build something, share something, and create a legacy that outlasts you? Sonnet 1 remains a stark warning. It demands we look at what we've been given and avoid the ultimate human tragedy, arriving at the end of your life with all your potential still trapped inside you.